Palestine. I don't know if you guys can see, but if you see that painting right over there, the big tall one with the boy who's turned around, that picture right there is the name of that is called Handana. If you guys don't already know what it is, it was made by the famous political cartoonist Naji Al-Ali in 1969. The meaning behind that cartoon right there is of a Palestinian boy whose hands are behind his back turned away as he sees his home getting demolished. It's a depiction of the Palestinian people who have lost it all. Now moving on to the next speaker, we have somebody who is the president of the Bangladeshi American PAC. Please give it up for Dr. Muhammad Alam.
Assalamu alaikum. You know, we've been listening this many years. Coming from Bangladesh, when I was in 7th grade, chanting in the street of Khulna, Free Palestine. It was 1984. We've been fighting since the past 75 years. This settlement, this killing, this occupation, and today a complete genocide. As we stand here at the lawmaking station right here in Lansing, I will echo with every single 180 million people in Bangladesh, and we have 100,000 Bangladeshi American in Michigan. We have all the Michigan and all the US Bangladeshi American community. Our heart melted, our blood are shedding. Yes, we can feel the pain, but let me tell you this, as a Democrat, I denounce Joe Biden. We will denounce Joe Biden. As coming from a political point of view, just this message is clear. We will demand defunding. We will demand a stop genocide, and we will demand a ceasefire right now. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
Takbir. 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 Now before moving on to our next speaker, another fun fact of Palestine. Now, did you know, Palestine edition, did you know that the strongest people in the world are the Palestinians?
Yes, it's okay. Don't worry.
All right, now moving on, we have someone who's an MSU professor. Please give it up for Professor Wasim El-Reyes.
I'm here today as a Palestinian from Gaza, an identity marked for elimination. This is not simply my opinion or hyperbole. It is what government officials, members of parliament, generals, media personalities, and many regular people speak about openly and proudly in Israel. It is no secret. What we are witnessing in Gaza has been called a textbook case of genocide. As I speak today about my beloved home, my beloved people, the tally of horror rising in Gaza, over 7,000 souls, almost half children, have been killed by Israeli bombs. Many supplied and paid for by US government. Over 20,000 Gazans are injured. 43% of buildings in this 27 by 5 miles territory has been decimated. Let me repeat, almost half of the housing stock for more than 2 million people has been destroyed. Entire multi-generational families have been, quote, removed from the civic registry. A technical term that means these families have been entirely eliminated, murdered under the rubble. Water, food, fuel, and electricity have been effectively cut, a war crime according to international law. Only 20 trucks of emergency aid, which does not include fuel, are permitted to enter to Gaza on daily basis. In normal times, Gaza needs at least 500 trucks of supplies for their city to be able to function. According to the CPJ, Committee to Protect Journalists, 22 Palestinian journalists have been killed since October 7. The number is actually higher now. As of yesterday, UNRWA, the UN Relief and Work Agency for Palestine refugees, 39 of their staff and personnel have been killed and 42 UNRWA installations have been damaged by Israel's bomb. UNRWA provides shelter to 629,000 internally displaced people in 150 installations across Gaza. Those are the refugees and descendants of the refugees from the 1948. 12 hospitals have been taken out of service. Many others are under danger of shutting down or for lack of fuel, which means newborns in the NICUs will be taken off ventilators. Dialysis machines will stop working, and other essential life-saving services will cease to operate. On top of everything that is happening in Gaza is on the verge of an environmental disaster. Conditions are ripe for the spread of disease. Beyond the physical impact, the mental and emotional toll is incalculable. If they survive, children will spend the rest of their lives attempting to process the horror and trauma of what is now taking place. Now please, dear audience, condition number three for the genocide under the UN Genocide Convention is, quote, deliberately inflicting on groups conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part. Being a Palestinian from Gaza is an essential part of who I am, but I am also a U.S. citizen. As an American, I am implicated in the suffering of my own besieged family in Gaza, much to my aghast. My tax money pays for the bombs the U.S. ships to Israel, bombs that are used to terrorize my elderly uncles and aunts, to terrorize my cousins and their children and their grandchildren. I voted for the politicians who have signed off on the leveling of my relatives' homes, the destruction of their neighborhoods, schools, hospitals, businesses, houses of worship, and civic buildings, the annihilation of their past and their future. Our president, a man I voted for, not only openly doubts in person, but also belittles through his spokespersons the scale of the death in Gaza. A death.
Shame on him! Shame on Biden!
A death list that includes members of my own family. It is in the registers. My people are not perfect victims. There are no perfect victims, in the same way that there are no perfect villains. The language of perfect victims and perfect villains, the one that speak of the children of light and children of darkness, to quote the war criminal Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, is the language of genocide. The antidote to this genocidal language is to see Palestinians as humans. As human, they are imperfect, but they are, to quote Shakespeare, more sinned against than sinning. Let me conclude. There will be no end to the suffering of the innocent. There will be no end to the violence as long as the people in the US and Europe, especially those in the mainstream media and elected officials, are unwilling or unable to see Palestinians as human beings with the right to live free from occupation. Apply international law equally to all. When we selectively choose who is worthy of human rights and who is not, we empty the concept of its meaningful content. And that is a danger to all. Contact your elected representatives and demand, ceasefire now!
Ceasefire now!
Ceasefire now!
Ceasefire now!
Ceasefire now!
Ceasefire now!
It is the least that we can do. Thank you.
Give a big round of applause for him again, please. Give it up.